back when I was young, I had a 77 Trans Am. Had a 455 Oldsmobile engine in it that I put in it. It didn't come with it. I put it in there. It was a rocket 455. But I'd seen people, running nitrous. There wasn't but many, about 2 people I knew that had nitrous. And one of them blowed his intake off because he let off the gas while the nitrous was going, and there's something having blow the whole intake through the hood. Intake and carburetor. So I knew you can't let off the gas while you were shooting ether in there. You had to keep the motor open up, the carburetor open up. And that'll be a problem in a minute. But I told him, one of my older buddies, his daddy was telling me that we were talking about nitrous. He said, well, we used to use poor man's nitrous. And I was like, that would sound like something I can do, poor man's nitrous. I said, what's that? He said, starting fluid. I said, starting fluid? He said, yeah. I was thinking, yeah. He was telling me, you get your hose to the carburetor and spray it in the car. And you get up there and it'll suck it in the motor, I got to think about it. I went straight and got me some starting fluid. Went home. I got my co-conspirator in there, because I figured out I wasn't going to be able to shift the car. It was automatic, but I wasn't going to be able to shift transmission and steer it and spray that starting fluid in the hose, And I really didn't have many hoses around the house, and one end of the water hose got run over, so we done messed up one end of the hose. I figured I'd use that water hose, But I wasn't going to cut it up. I wasn't going to cut the hose up, but I just figured, I wasn't thinking. That was the problem. So I figured that I had the hood off the car. And I run that hose down where it would just about touch the back barrel butterflies of the carburetor. And we'd pull that vacuum on the carburetor, We ain't gonna cut my hose. So I throwed all the extra hose in the back seat. And I got my little co-conspirator over there. And I told her, I said, whatever you do, don't keep this in that, I had a rag there, and I said, keep it in there, don't let it get out of the hose, just keep it in there. Because it gassed us, Well, I pulled out on the road, and the Trans Am was already, it had 10-inch rims on the back, positive train, it already light tires up and all. But I was really going, I want to see what it do. I pulled out there and I stomped it. And I told her when I stomped it, I told her to start spraying. Well, she started spraying it when I stomped it. And I'm going up through there, I'm spinning, in first gear, low gear. Well, she sprayed brand new can. A lot of pressure, She's spraying it. And I ain't really noticing nothing, I ain't really noticing much. The car is doing like it always did. About that time, I about didn't give up on it. I didn't think it was going to work. All of a sudden it worked. It hit that motor. And I tell you what, that motor sounded like a wildcat. Some kind of animal. That joker revved up and just, it scared her so bad she threw the can out the window. And I'm trying to hold the car, and it's fitting to blow the motor up, so I shifted up in second, trying to choke the motor down. Slow the motor down to RPM, but I knew not to let off the gas. I shifted that joker up in second. And boy, it just changed tunes, but it was still screaming. And there was pieces of rubber, the tires were flying apart back there. There were pieces of rubber come down, we had the windows down, pieces of rubber come down, burnt my arm. Pieces of rubber hit the windshield, everything. And that car was, good gracious. And she was screaming. Couldn't hardly hear though. But by that time, I thought the motor blowed up. I had the hood off the car. And by that time, I heard a loud bang. I thought it was a rod that come out of it. But it was still running. But it swung all my belts off and it tore my fan blade up. It just tore stuff up everywhere. And right after that, it just calmed back down and went back to running. But it sounded like a sewing machine. It sounded like it didn't have no oil in it. All the lifters, it floated all the lifters out. It was just clicking like a sewing machine. And the back left tire had a big old knot come up on it. It was just been to blow out. But my co-conspirator over there, she got out. She wasn't even riding the car back to the house. She got out. And easing back to the house, the car was doing like this because it had a big old knot on the side of it. It had rubber sticking out of it I ain't never seen before. Like, it looked like an inner tube was in that tire. That tire didn't have no inner tube in it. They were tubeless. But I eased back to the house. I got back up there. It wasn't but like one blade left on the fan. It was kind of flopping and bent. I got back up there. And I just let that motor sit out there at hours. And you know that motor, it eventually started sound like it had oil in it again. It never lost oil pressure. But come to find out, there's a big old metal ring around the harmonic balancer that tells you like the timing marks, like top dead center and all that stuff. But there wasn't one on that motor no more. That part left. It just exploded. Some of it went in the pavement out there. I mean, it stuck in the pavement. And the rest of it flew out and tore all my fan and stuff up. Tore the alternator up, tore up a lot of stuff. One of them busted the radiator. But I tell you one thing, if there ever was a Oldsmobile that was a rocket motor, that one really liked to blast it off. And I run back down and told my buddy about that stuff and what they done messed my car up. Well, he was telling me they didn't do it. They did it in high gear. They didn't do it on the low side, you know. And another thing, like he said, they didn't use no 25-foot hose neither. But I've never fooled no more with that starting fluid in my motor. Not to get no more power out of it. And I ain't never sprayed no more through a hose. A lot of people got a kick out of that story. I got burnt. Tore up my tires. Tore up a lot of stuff on my car. But I didn't think it was that funny. But everybody else wants me to tell this story, so I'm gonna tell them. But that's one time when Double R should have left that. What got me was the water hose. I just throwed all that water hose in the back. I didn't know that to wind up, the whole can was gonna be in the water hose by the time it got up there. But it's Double R. Please like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate y'all, and I hope y'all think it's funny. Double R checking out. And till next time, y'all figure it out. May the Lord bless.